To streamline your artwork, you can merge layers, sublayers, content, or groups to combine the contents into one layer or sublayer. And so we'll work on giving our layers panel and our artwork more organization. I'll click the disclosure triangle to the left of the foam content layer to hide that, and I'll reveal the content of the foam body layer. Now I'll press the Option key on a Mac or the Alt key on the Windows and click the path object that has a circle thumbnail up to select the content on the artboard. And there we see that circle down at the bottom. And in the content for the foam body layer, I'll shift click the path object above it to select both objects. And then I'll click the Layers panel menu and choose Collect in New Layer to create a new sublayer with that content in it. And I'll change that layer to Front. Now I'll drag the front sublayer down to the Create New Layer button to make a copy of the layer. It's another way to duplicate a layer. And then I'll name this copy layer Back. Now I want to move some content around, so I'll click to select the compound path object, and I'll hold down the Option or Alt key and drag the object onto the back sublayer. And when I see that layer highlighted, I'll release the key. And this copies the compound path content onto the back sublayer. Now I'll click the selection column to the far right of the back sublayer. That's the content we're going to copy to the second artboard. I'll make sure that I select the to Foam Back artboard. I'll make sure that content is selected, and in the Properties panel, I'll open up the, I'll select that content again. I've got my second artboard selected, and in the Properties panel, I'll open that up. And I'll make sure that Align to Selection is Align to Artboard, which it is. There's a check mark by it. And then I'll click the horizontal Align Center button. So that centered that content on the second artboard. Now I'll click the Layers Panel tab and click to select the original compound path object in the Layers panel and drag it onto the front sublayer to move it onto that layer. So we're getting more organized, and I'll deselect everything. Now we'll work on pasting some layers. And we can paste content from one layer to another. But we can see how our front and back layers are organized there. So now I want to open up another file in the lesson folder. So I'll go to File, Open, and I want to get the menu Illustrator file. And I'll have a look at the Layers panel to see how it's organized. And then I'll just go ahead and choose Select All. And then I'll go to Edit and Copy. And now I'll just close that menu file. I don't need that again. And in the Layers panel of our working layer, I want to make sure that Paste Remembered Layers is checked. That will paste those layers that we saw in the menu Illustrator file. And then I'll just go to Edit and Paste. And there's our menu. And we can see that those layers from that original menu Illustrator file are now pasted into our Layers panel. I'll select the text layer and shift-click the background layer to select both layers. And I'll click the disclosure triangle to the left of the phone content layer, and I'll drag either of the selected layers down on top of the main menu sublayer to move that content down. And now we'll work on changing layer order. We can easily drag layers, sublayers, and groups to other content in the Layers panel to reorganize it for better organization. I'll click the Design Content sublayer and shift-click the main menu sublayer to select all three layers, the Design Content, Menu Icons, and Main Menu layers. And now, from the Layers panel menu, I'll choose Reverse Order. And that reversed the order of our layers in the panel, and we can also see some content that we didn't see before because the stacking order of the layers has now changed. And now with the Selection tool, I'll drag that menu artwork onto the artboard on the left. And I want to move it in place. I want to move it down towards the bottom of the artwork there, just covering the icons a little bit. We'll fix that shortly. Now we can apply a number of different appearance attributes to layers, such as styles, effects, and transparency, using the Layers panel. So I want to target the contents of the background sublayer. So that selects that content, and either in the Control panel or the Properties panel, I'll change the opacity to 75%. And that reduces the opacity so that we can see a little bit through it. Now notice the change in the target icon for the background layer. It's now shaded, indicating that the layer has at least one appearance attribute applied to it. And that was because of the change in the opacity.